Yo guys, what is good? Welcome back on the Uncle Sharma channel. I know it, guys. I know it. It's the day after the derby, and we are not happy. I know Interisti everywhere around the world. We are not happy. We are angry, disappointed, all kind of negative emotion that you can put. We are that because this is the match that you don't want to lose. There's two matches for me, especially in the season that you don't want to lose is the Juventus game and the Milan game, and of course, just any big team, any of the top six games you don't want to lose, and we've already lost two. So I know the mood at the moment is at an all-time low. I think under the Inzaghi tenure, this is definitely one of the lower points. In today's video, I want to talk about some of the points, some of the little snippets that I found from the post-match report from the Lega Serie A, the report that they released after the match, and compare to previous low points that we've been through together as a fan base on this channel as well. Because I remember, guys, that's the thing. This channel for me, I don't know, it's probably not for you guys, but for me, it's almost like a diary. Because I know I'm not a person who keeps a diary, but I do really respect people who keep diaries because that helps you being accountable, and you can go back and track exactly how you were doing or how you were feeling at some point in a certain period of time. But what I can do is go on my channel and see what was I talking about a year ago, 2 years ago, because this channel has been going on for a little while, over 2 years now. And of course, before that, even on Sempre Inter, I used to make videos for sempreinter.com. I remember an exactly the same type of period under Antonio Conte, because that's the thing. People seem to have forgotten some of the lows that we went through with Antonio Conte, and because every time I go on a video on a post-match reaction now, it seems to be about Conte this, Conte that, Pintus this, Pintus that. It's like everything is about what happened, under Conte. But there's this video, guys, called that I had to make because there was the Conte out brigade was much stronger than the Inzaghi out brigade at the moment. That video was made in December, I believe. Yeah, look at that, 11th of December 2020, after we got kicked out of the Champions League and after we were struggling in the league as well. He wasn't playing Eriksen, and it was the same type of issue. We were conceding too many goals, like we are right now, and people were calling for him to change formation, the 3-5-2. Of course, actually that season we started with the 3-4-1-2, which luckily he kind of binned off not too long after the beginning of the season. But yeah, that one wasn't good, that period. And even when he went back to the 3-5-2, yeah, we were kind of starting to look better, but still not too great. And people were calling for change formation, go to the 4 at the back, and Twitter's favorite formation, the 4-3-1-2 or the 4-4-2 diamond. That's always like the number one suggestion for people for whenever something goes wrong at Inter. And of course, yesterday when I was on Twitter, everyone's calling for the 4-3-1-2. Inzaghi needs to play the 4-3-1-2. And yeah, Conte didn't play. He didn't change pretty much nothing in terms of formation. And again, Inzaghi is not going to change anything. This is what we've got as coaches, guys. We've got with Conte, he was a 3-5-2 till death type of coach. So is Inzaghi. A lot of these Italian coaches, we've talked about in the past, they are very married to certain ideas and systems. Before that, Spalletti was pretty much 4-2-3-1 till death as well. Apart from a couple of times you would change it to a 4-3-3, but this is what we've got right now, guys. This is what we have. But I do like to hear about tactical ideas and implementation. So I do want to hear what you guys feel like Inzaghi should do. Like, I want to see in the comments actually today. And this is more constructive criticism. No, I don't want to see this is like, bring Conte back, bring Pintus back, that type of stuff. So give me some suggestions in the comments down below. What would you do with this Inter team? But anyway, my point is that there was this very low period where a lot of the fan base was calling for Conte out, of course, and with Conte was the massive salary and investment in the team. Inzaghi doesn't really have that excuse, because he's not even the highest. I think he's only the highest paid after Mourinho and Allegri. In terms of investment, we know Inzaghi is actually on minus investment. Ever since he's joined, we're probably on like minus 200 million in terms of investment into the team. Whereas with Conte, is pretty much probably the most we've, especially in the Suning, the most we've ever invested in a coach. So the pressure level was different with Inzaghi. That's why yesterday I said people were asking, do you feel like Inzaghi is in the hot seat? I don't think so, because of the management and the ownership knows that Inzaghi's actually been put in quite a difficult position to manage right now, and I think he's got a lot of credit in the bank for that as well. And then we've got this super difficult Champions League group as well, which is it's probably a decent excuse as well for get out of the Champions League this year. But the main point is, as I talked about in that video with Conte, was like I was seeing what Conte was trying to do. The team was playing okay, but we were creating chances. That was the thing. We were always, and Conte always talked about that, we were creating chances but being very wasteful. The XG and all, the amount of chances created per match were always very high, and they weren't just following through. And then we would concede at like the first, second shot on goal, which is still happening right now. And the thing is, Conte back then didn't have the option that Inzaghi has now. Conte was stuck with Handanovic because at the time, he had a much younger Radu. And I think he had Padelli, didn't he? Or Berni, it wasn't good in terms of options. Whereas now Inzaghi has a guy that we've brought in to be the potential successor to Handanovic, and he actually earns more than Handanovic. And Inzaghi now see that some changes need to be made and we still don't. If De Vrij, now that we're saying that De Vrij had a complete stinker yesterday against Milan, which he did, but actually De Vrij, if you think about it, he's actually been probably our best defender this season in terms of the back three since the start of the season, the first 4 matches. Because Skriniar has been struggling since he's come back from injury. He doesn't look quite the same, and Bastoni is also the same. So actually, De Vrij was actually the one that was starting to give us some signs of life. But is Acerbi really the answer? To put over De Vrij? Like now we're just kind of clutching at straws. But something needs to happen. Some sort of change needs to happen for sure. Whether that's tactical change, or whether that's a personnel change, or a change in mentality. That's one thing that under Conte we kind of had the guarantee of with this team, wasn't it? That with Conte being that sergeant, that drill sergeant, making sure that his team is always giving their all. We're not sure about that with Inzaghi, but that's the thing that you talked about yesterday as well. It's so embarrassing to say that these players need, like, you had 2 years on the Conte guy. He came and changed his mentality, just like he's doing at Spurs now, just like he did at Juventus, just like he did for Italy. You shouldn't need that constantly on your someone berating you on the side. Like that's even more embarrassing, because Pioli isn't that. Is Pioli that type of guy? No, Pioli is just, that's what he's always known for. That's what they call him, Padre Pioli in Italian. The banter name for Pioli in Italy is Padre Pioli, because he's like known to be this kind of good guy, just very friendly, happy. He's not really going to shout at players, and we know him. We had him at Inter. He was an Inter coach, and actually he's an Interista, but that's how many coaches around the world are like that, But something needs to change, because I'm going to go into the statistics after the match. And as I said, like I always look at this, you guys know I tweet it out on my Twitter, and not always, but I do sometimes look at these stats on the channel here as well. And you see, we outran Milan yesterday, 106 kilometers versus 104. So the problem clearly isn't physical, because we outran them, but we lost every battle. So we outran them, but we lost every or like most of the battles that I saw. Like we looked at the stats yesterday, remember in our reaction, aerial battles, ground duels, like most of them we were losing every 50-50. They just wanted it more. Individually as always, Brozovic is always running really a lot. Again, by far the highest runner, 12.4. There was Hakan, Dumfries. Look at the numbers are all looking good, and average speed of our running as well. It was just tight. Well, you could just say it's the exact same, but just a tad bit higher, 6.51 kilometers an hour, and Milan's was 6.49. So there really isn't that much to say there, because people are pointing that maybe we're not as fit as we were under Conte and Pintos, and maybe that's true. But then when you go to the Serie A statistics, we are once again, like we didn't finish the number 1 last season. We finished just second to Lazio. But again, we're ranking good in terms of our kilometers covered. And especially, guys, it doesn't mean that we need to be number one to be the best. Like, that's the thing. Like, Milan last season won, and they were, I can't remember exactly, but they weren't even in the top 5 in terms of kilometers covered. And look at this season, they're 14th. Lazio, I think there's something. I think they've made there's some sort of like calculation mistakes here for Lazio and Napoli. I'll revisit these numbers in a couple of weeks. There's something gone wrong here. But you see, the top teams, they don't run that much. It doesn't necessarily mean it's a good thing that if you're not running to the same numbers that you were before. But to me, usually I use these numbers to show that the players are still behind a certain coach. Like, otherwise, if the numbers aren't looking right, that means the players are giving up on the coach. That's always a good but the 3-5-2 in general, it bring back to the tactical conversation. 3-5-2 is quite it's a high energy expenditure formation in general. And it shows, and it shows here in the statistic. You see Spezia, they play 3-5-2. Lecce play 4-3-3, but you guys know that there's more like a 4-5-1, and they work their ass off. Cremonese as well play 3-4, 1-2, 3-5-2. Torino, Salernitana. It shows the trend that most of the 3-5-2 formations are the ones that need to run the most. And in the future, and I've said this, when Conte left as well, I would like to see a shift going back to a 4 defender formation now, not because of just because I'm tired of 3, but because that formation is the one that allows you to have attacking windows or more creative players within the team. In a 3-5-2, the only creative players within your formation can either be one of the midfielders or one of the strikers, more creative strikers, or one of the wing backs. So it doesn't. Whereas in the 4-2-3-1, it can be the 3 behind the strikers. They can all be creative dribblers or pacey guys, or the striker, or one of the fullbacks. Like it gives you much more variety. But right now, guys, this is our formation. Inzaghi's going to stick to this. What we need to see is a change within the mentality and the way the team plays. The same players, as Inzaghi said in this press conference yesterday, he doesn't know what's going on because these are the same players as last season. That's the thing. We were thinking that, okay, we haven't really improved our starting 11, but at least it's the same. But then, see what happens, what's happened to kind of Atalanta or like other teams, like the stagnation can set in as well. And some players, on the decline can cause the downfall of the team. But again, the underlying numbers, once again, I don't like to give too much credence to these again, but they'll still say something in terms of the XG still says that Inter are the second best in the league in terms of the quality of the chances that we are creating and the volume of chances that we create. 11.66, just behind Napoli. And the expected points, the algorithm also calculates that we should be on around close to 12 points. So we're actually underperforming by 2.49 points in terms of everything that we do within the last 5 matches. The goals against still show that we are conceding too many chances as well. But again, we've conceded 3 more goals than we should have according to the XG. Whereas Juve, you see that with the penalty save, things like that, like the goalkeepers coming through for them, they've actually conceded 2.8 goals less than they should have. So that's where we're saying that Onana, Inzaghi, I think it might be time to bring in Onana. Of course, today the news also came out that the whole team of directors was present at the Pinetina, at the Piano Gentile. Marotta, Zanetti, Ausilio, Bacin, all the directors were there to give, their presence being felt, but also, give Inzaghi the support. Again, guys, Inzaghi isn't going anywhere time soon. If you're Inzaghi out, you're going to have to be suffering. I still have faith in Inzaghi to be able to turn this around. He's not showing the things that we were expecting him to show in terms of improvement this year. He actually surprised me a lot more last year in terms of what he did. So actually this year he's letting me down. And of course I am now looking at Inzaghi under a bigger microscope, much more closely. But, all is not lost, guys. These are we'll finish the video on a kind of a positive note. But in terms of how we were doing the exact same point as last season, we're behind by 4 points. And compared to the Scudetto winning season under Conte, we're minus 1 point. Which is obviously worrying. But what needs to improve 100% is the goals conceded. Although, as I was saying there, under Conte, the title-winning season, we conceded the same amount of goals, 8, which is obviously, again, embarrassing. The fact that we conceded that many goals. We scored a couple of more goals that season, and we had one less loss. But we managed to turn things around in the second half of the season, and that can still happen. But Inzaghi and the players need to show that out there. It's not all on Inzaghi, it's not all on the players, but they need to come together in the next few weeks and turn the season around, because at this rate, the season is already looking very, very difficult. But it's only the beginning, guys. Bayern Munich next, of course. Keep a lookout on my channel for the Bayern Munich preview. As I said, let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. What is needed to change at Inter? What does Inzaghi need to do? What do the players need to do? I want to hear from you guys, not just negativity. I want to say it's a constructive criticism. And yeah, thank you for watching. Hopefully I was not rambling too much. Hopefully you got some insight. Ciao ragazzi, always leave a thumbs up before you leave. Ciao ragazzi, Forza Inter.